Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Today I want to talk about self-forgiveness and how to forgive yourself on the spiritual path. No doubt there are mistakes that we've made along the way, and there are mistakes that you might not even be able to take back. And how do you move forward in that kind of situation? How do you keep moving and keep going when you think and you feel as if what you did was something that can't be undone? Well, you have to accept that it was something that cannot be undone. And learning how to forgive yourself is a very key tool in progression of the spiritual path. With that being said, I want to read a little verse from Proverbs. It's Proverbs 38:8-9, and it says, "Remove far from me vanity and lies. Give me neither poverty nor riches, and feed me with food convenient for me, lest I be full and deny thee, and say, Who is the Lord? Or lest I be poor and steal, and take the name of my God in vain." So what exactly does that mean? To remove vanity from your own life is to remove deceit and to remove wickedness, worships of idols, worshiping of unrighteousness from your life. And how do you tell the difference exactly between righteousness and unrighteousness when you're living in sin and you don't know it? You have to recognize that there's a mistake that's being made. You have to recognize and take accountability for your actions and your participation in the mistake. However, if you refuse to see that if things are still not working out for you and yet you don't want to change anything and you're stuck, but you don't want to change anything still, well, you're kind of at a loss on your own and you really don't want to be helped. And what's the point in wanting to help somebody that doesn't want to be helped? There's no point at all, actually, and there's no reason to. In fact, if you were going off on an adventure that was known to be dangerous, and yet you commit acts of danger to yourself, then, like, let's say you're going on vacation or something and you're going hiking or rock climbing, and you know that this is going to be a dangerous thing, and maybe at one point you don't even know, like, you think that you can rock climb without the ropes or something. Now, some people can actually do that. For example, like Alex something. He's a rock climber, and he does that, and he went to Yosemite, and he actually climbed the whole wall of Yosemite without a rope, which is very impressive, but very few people can actually do that without killing themselves in the process. And this is really the great understanding of forgiveness, is that you realizing, self-forgiveness that is that you're realizing that you put yourself in harm's way and you didn't do anything about it. And you knew that you were capable of doing something different, but you still did not do anything about it. So if you go rock climbing without ropes, without anybody around, and you fall and you hurt yourself, the fault is really none but your own, right? Now, to be living in a sin and to be living without repentance and without self-forgiveness is like being on the ground with a broken leg after you're rock climbing with no ropes, and then blaming other people for not being around to carry you back to the hospital or something like that. You obviously put yourself in a situation in which there's going to be little to no opportunity for success if there's a mistake. But if you refuse to acknowledge the mistake that you made, not putting your foot in the right place on the rock or something, it could cost you a lot of grief in your life. So remove far from me vanity and lies, and give me neither poverty nor riches. This was something else that I felt was very interesting, is that there's a humbleness in that. When you ask God for neither poverty nor riches, what you're saying is you want what's best for you in this moment, at this time, to propel yourself forward. And to feed, and when in the verse where it says, feed me with food convenient for me, I don't necessarily think this is like food, physical food. This is like spiritual food. This is a spiritual thirst. This is a spiritual appetite that you desire. Well, it's not even really a desire. It's just a want to grow closer to the oneness of God. And to do that, you have to remove vanity, be humble, and have integrity, and eat that which is pleasant to the soul and not to the flesh. Now, of course, the body cannot survive without the soul, and the soul cannot survive without the body. And in between those are the spirit. That's the way that I see the difference between soul, spirit, and body. And so, when there is this recognition, when there is this opportunity to be humble before God, there's a great wave of understanding that comes over you in this forgiveness. And the more that you forgive yourself, the more that you start to feel better about making another mistake, because we're always going to make mistakes. But the next time you make a mistake, and hopefully it isn't the same mistake, because if you keep making the same mistake, that is literally the definition, and not learning from it, then that is literally the definition of a loser. And I don't think you want to be a loser. I'm not saying this is about winning and losing. I'm just saying that this is about not losing your soul. So, in the rest of the verse, it talks about, lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is the Lord? So, or lest I be poor and steal and take the name of my God in vain. Now, of course, everybody's seen these kinds of people that claim God doesn't exist, and yet they curse God. I know I was one of those people at one point in my life where I was an atheist, but I would curse God because I was so angry about the way my life had planned out, or had played out up until that point, and that was years ago. So, if you deny God, how are you going to have forgiveness? If you deny forgiveness, how are you going to have God? If you don't have forgiveness, how are you going to live a spiritually fulfilled life? According to this verse in Proverbs, it's just not possible. And I think it's very accurate because true knowledge and true faith comes about from trials of genuine faith, to see whether or not you actually have a genuine kind of faith in what you do and believe. There's a difference between knowing and believing, right? There's a difference between understanding and desiring to understand. There's a difference between vanity and humility. So learning how to forgive yourself is mainly about accepting your faults and accepting how you acted in making those faults and doing your best to course correct down the line. Because there is nothing else to do in this life. There is nothing else to do apart from complacency. So decide to be better. Decide that you want something more in this life. And there is always time. Just like in Stairway to Heaven, like Led Zeppelin says, there are always two paths to go on. Always. There's always a decision to make. So what are you going to do? What do you decide? With that being said, hope you all have a blessed day. Until next time, peace be with you.